Hey guys, hope everything's going well. All right. So I wanted to do a video on precious metals. I wanted to also touch base on the overall economy as well. Okay, as you know, the Federal Reserve has aggressively raised interest rates. And one of the yields that I look at very closely because I speculate in sports cards as well. And I was I was very cautious in February and March of last year. Now we're at a point where you're turning from negative interest rates, looking at the 10-year tips, to today, where the 10-year tips is what? Over 160 basis points. And I started looking at that in sports cards because, in terms of gold and silver and precious metals, I figured out that this yield, I think, is the most important chart, the 10-year tips, is that they are very sensitive to this yield or this chart. And it's because sophisticated investors look at longer term interest rates and inflation expectations to determine, hey, is this a better time to be speculating in precious metals, collectibles, and alternative assets, crypto, etc., right? And if you notice, for instance, this year, you've seen many assets turn down, specifically crypto. When you saw negative interest rates from the 5-year tips, 10-year tips, it went positive and crypto went down. Precious metals took a dump as well, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sports cards as well, which I follow closely. And the thing is that where I've made many mistakes, for those that have followed me for many years, I have figured out the hard way. Where I made the mistake was, if you're speculating in these alternative assets, timing is crucial. People can make money in this. Vast majority don't. And the vast majority don't because what they do, and I've made this mistake, is they look at CPI, right? I don't want to look at CPI in terms of this. I want to look at future expectations. And what I look at is 5-year tips, 10-year tips, okay? This is more of a fundamental analysis video. And I'm looking at the fact, okay, Bank of England just caved because there were a lot of issues out there. Okay, now who else is going to cave? The Federal Reserve may be raising rates again shortly. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of issues in the economy. People cannot deal with paying their bills, 40%, right? Having trouble paying bills. I feel bad for people that are in a very difficult situation. So what I believe is going to happen, because people have to pay more for adjustable rate mortgages, people have to pay more for credit card debt, etc. I believe the Fed is going to stop raising rates, or they're going to start cutting rates. May not happen tomorrow, but I'm looking at this potentially sometime next year, where they're going to do that. Elections are over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they want to make sure that the incumbent party is on the right path for 2024 election, right? Even though I believe that's going to be a crazy year and you may see some economic turmoil, but that's a topic for a different day. So I believe Fed's going to pump up the market, cut rates or stop raising rates, and then in essence, what's going to happen with the 10-year yield, you're going to see it rallying in the 10-year bonds. So the yields go down, bond prices go up, 10-year tips becomes, from very positive, then it could go to potentially negative. And that's probably a better time, in my opinion, for me to unload some of my collectibles, some of my gold, silver, etc. But the thing that I try to explain on my sports card channel through my early failures in understanding precious metals, this chart, 10-year tips, is the most important chart. I used to do videos with the yen carry trade. and I say, oh, the gold and silver are related to the carry trade. I would argue, even though the yen is moving the same direction, it has to deal with the 10-year tips. And not every time you see the 10-year tips in line with the Japanese yen, okay? And that's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to eyeball this carefully. A lot of technicians who were once bearish on precious metals, they're turning positive, looking at their technicals, fundamentals. David Brady, that I like, he's talking about the 10-year tips. So I believe that next 18 months should be bullish for alternative assets, even crypto. And I would argue that stocks as well. This is not investment advice. I'm not telling you what to do, but at the end of the day, this is just what I'm reading based on looking at these markets for a long period of time. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you. Bye.